The relationship between President Félix Tshisekedi and his predecessor, Joseph Kabila, appears to be at an all-time low. The fragile pact that has thus far been maintained between these coalition partners, an inherently contradictory marriage of convenience between former foes, seems increasingly untenable following an escalation of rhetoric and tit-for-tat attacks in early 2020. The relationship between the two is at such a low that the Catholic Church in the Democratic Republic of Congo waded into the political crisis recently, calling for a divorce between the two coalitions running the affairs of state. The Archbishop of Kinshasa, Fridolin Ambongo, had called for the dissolution of the political alliance between President Tshisekedi and his predecessor Kabila. The cleric cited mistrust amongst members of Kabila's Common Front of Congo, FCC, and the President's Union for Democracy and Social Progress, the UPDS. The Archbishop called on Catholics to speak out on the issue. The President has met with leaders of civil society, trade unions, professional bodies recently, and the bodies have called on him to dissolve Parliament. A little bit earlier today, I spoke to Abraham Lwakabuanga, who's the President's press director, the presidential press director for President Félix Tshisekedi. And this is how the conversation went.
President Tshisekedi has tried now almost for 2 years to walk into with that coalition. But reality is things are not getting smoother. Things are not going at the path, at the speed that the president is willing to see it. This slowing down situation, if I may call it so, leads him to take the decision of consultations. Those consultations will help him to discuss with leaders, political leaders, leaders of different sectors of life, the social activities, leaders of churches, to let them know what is his program. Because, to be honest, yes, this is kind of a failure, and this failure has been of that coalition has been expressed by people through marches, through the leaders that has been consulting during the first week by the president, and not little leaders. We have seen Jean-Pierre Bemba, for example, was there. Mr. Moise Katumbi came in from Lamuka. Today the president is going to have a meeting with the 2018 Nobel Prize, Dr. Mukwege, and even some leaders of Kabila camps. They came in. What the president is looking actually is a union for the country, a union behind his vision. He wants to see people that wants to get into the vision, wants to work for a better Congo. He has been elected.
Are you saying that Mr. Kabila is working against the progressive ideas that President Tshisekedi has?
This is what we have figured out. You know, his team or his people are not involved at 100%. What we were expecting for them, we're not seeing it. So why should we keep on, going on the same direction, knowing that things are not getting better? For example, the president wants, in his vision, the independence of the justice. He wants to see a reform of the National Electoral Commission. But if I may say just about those two topics, we had issues. The nomination of 2 judges were not accepted by our partner. Why they should accept that? What is looking in here is the country to be into a rule of law, and knowing that majority of those working under the leadership of President Kabila were not a good example for the country. Could have been changed for after 18 months of working with us? No. Since we figure out that things are not going smoother, that's why the president has called those consultations, and at the end, like he said, all the options are on the table. That could be, he can dissolve the parliament, he can ask the resignation of the prime minister, so we can call for a general election. So everything's on the table, and we expect that things will get, we're gonna know what he has in his mind in a few days to come.
What has former President Kabila said about these consultations that you are currently undergoing? Because clearly he will perceive this to be a threat to his influence.
A threat? No. I think the perception of seeing this as a threat will be politically incorrect. Actually, because of what? They've been seeing each other. When we had issues, President Tshisekedi was calling now the senator, Mr. Kabila, for talks. They have several talks. We were expecting that after those talks, situation will get better, but it was getting worse and worse on a daily basis. President Kabila last week has held his 2 days convention, but you know what happened is actually, first of all, he was not there because his entire team was not there. Some of them didn't show at that meeting, and this is a sign that the message that the president has launched, the invitation to consultation, is getting even into his camp. So yes, that could be a fear of losing his majority. The fear will be losing his leadership. The fear could be seeing the population react against what he's been doing. And we've heard that through social civil society representatives that came in. They said so. People from churches, a lot of leaders are asking for to dissolve the parliament. A lot of people are asking for the resignation of the government. So we don't know yet what the president will decide in a few days.
All right. So, I mean, that's pretty, I wouldn't say drastic, but significant if you are to dissolve parliament, hold fresh elections. Are you suggesting that with these dialogues and new conversations, and perhaps we'll see the formation of a new coalition excluding the former president?
All options are on the table, such like the president says. We can say as of today that big leaders have already showed up, and it's an indication that we aiming into a new coalition, and I hope former president will be smart enough to remain into that coalition. This is his will, if he's willing to do so, because the call has been made to every single person, every single leaders, to show up at the national palace, if I can call it so, Palais de la Nation, where the president is holding the consultations, and all invitations has been said. So there is no list of non-invited person. Everybody is invited, such as President Kabila, and also I may say Mr. Fayulu, for example.
The challenges that you're facing, that President Tshisekedi is facing in terms of dealing with former President Kabila, has that made it difficult for him to deal with issues like security on the eastern part of the country?
Actually, you just pinpointed an important topic. The governance of states is at stake also. If you look, actually, majority of states are led by governors from Kabila's camp. So, and in the other side, we have the plane that the president has launched. Our army is on the ground. Security forces are out there, but are the governors playing really trustworthy in such a way that the peace can be found? Because we've been with the president several times in the east side, we find out that some rebels troops are controlled by politicians, are controlled by officers of the army. And these things took place when former President Kabila was into power. So we have to dismantle, we have to remove all those negative forces which have some ties with some leaders from the FCC. So I'm not accusing, but justice will take place in a few, and we need to work harder with also our state borders, such as Rwanda, Uganda. The president has been there more than once. Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, in order to express, to work with them for every single move we're going to make, if it's going to be a military move or other move that can, have impact on their economy or on their demography. President did so. Last week, few people were sent to meet President Paul Kagame in order to explain the situation in the DRC, and those ambassadors will also reach out other countries to explain what's going on in the Congo. Actually, what we do have to understand is the president, Félix Tshisekedi, is looking for a better Congo, a safer Congo that will help all Africa to rise.
All right. So in January, the president will have been president for nearly 2 years. And some would say that, from the moment he was elected, some of the issues that you're talking about were already predictable. Was there no other route to managing the country without former President Kabila right from the beginning, instead of struggling for 2 years?
Respecting the Constitution was saying that the government or the Prime Minister has to come after consultation of the majority in the Parliament. Unfortunately for the President and for the cash, we had not that majority in the Parliament, so we had to sit down and work into a coalition. Things were defined, goals were discussed, but in the functioning on a daily basis, things didn't work the way they should work. So before actually being the president of the UA, it was important for the president to solve the situation, the matter in the Congo, so he can move forward without having an issue, a political issue into his country. And I think, according to what we have heard from leaders that has been in talk with the president, those we have met him, that we are aiming into the right direction. And even the FCC have declared last week that they open up to participate to that consultation. So hopefully Congo in the next few days will be able to rise up and have a new leadership according to for the governance that's going to help the country to move forward and help the president of Congo to be the next African Union president.
Do you think that a new General Assembly, fresh elections, would bring a different result, that perhaps would see former President Kabila's party having less influence in Parliament? Or is it just going to be the same exercise where he'll continue to enjoy the support that he already has?
I may see for sure it's going to be big changes. In 2018, we had the issue of the CENI, which is the National Commission, Electoral Commission. Majority of people that now being called or are in the Parliament, we don't think that they won the elections. This was an issue. So do we have to do by that time bring a crisis, a political crisis, or do we have to wait and give them the hands to move forward? We did it. It didn't work. And I can tell you with insurance, a lot of them that are today in the Parliament, you can see an entire family. A man with his wife, maybe one of his child in the same Parliament, or the man is in the Senate as a senator, his wife being into Parliament, such as a deputy. So, and this was organized. We don't trust that it was really the reflect of reality. So if tomorrow the president has decided to dissolve the parliament and we go for elections, yes, for sure, a new majority will come out, new people will be elected, for sure.
That was me speaking to President Tshisekedi's press director a little bit earlier this afternoon.